Hey everybody, welcome back to Pop's FBR. Hey, I just wanted to give a great big old thank you out to a lot of people for making my retirement dreams happen. Right there's the truck. Yeah, we're gonna go look at that here in just a second, because that's what made it happen. So I'm gonna thank you guys here in just a second after I explain what I just went through here. All right, so here I am out of my house, and this is our Volano, our Van Lee Volano. It is a 40-foot fifth wheel. It's a 2019. It's a pretty hefty, big dude. Here's some pictures that I want to show you, just kind of show you how big and heavy this is. Okay, so here is a look at the actual sticker. You see here the GVWR is 16,000 pounds, and once it gets loaded it's approximately 18,000 pounds, and that's what we're hauling up and down all the highways and byways, big grades, 6%, whatever. So having taken those pictures and you had it explained to you what we've got here, here is my 2008 F350. That was a 6.4 Power Stroke, and we swapped in a 1996 12 valve, and I just wanted to say something about that. Now I know a lot of you guys out there 24 valve guys, and you like the adjustments that you can make electronically and whatnot, but this is a totally mechanical engine, and this truck has been doing fantastic. I can't say that the mileage is up there with the 24 valve, but hey, pulling that thing, if I can get 10 miles to the gallon, I think everybody will be happy with it. And that's close to what I'm getting, and sometimes over that. So it's been a real cool deal. Now, if you're one of those people that have followed me and you have hit the bell down here and you have subscribed and whatnot, I want you to take this video as your end result on what you're going to do. If you're going to try to take on this project to swap your own truck, I want you to go back and I want you to look at some of my very earliest videos when I was just about to finish this truck, and I'll show you the interior of this truck, and it will be the same truck that you saw in my early videos. All right, so let me open everything up here and show you. So you'll see that it is the old 5.9 that I installed. Still got the yellow paint on the cool side of the turbo. You see my little makeshift over the top, because this was a conventional type of truck. It came from an F700 truck, and that truck itself almost overhead, almost a cab over design. So I'm just kind of showing it to you so you can see and compare with what you're going to see in the video series, that this is the truck, this is the engine that I installed. Now when I started this swap, one of the things that I did is I made sure that I set the odometers and trip meters in here so that I would make landmarks of how old the truck is. And so let me kind of flip on a few things here, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, so here's the pickup interior. You know, it's just an XLT. It's not great. We just finished this trip that I'm getting ready to tell you about. And right there, here's a picture of it. Okay, as I move in here, you'll see two numbers. The one on top is the number of miles since the swap, 25.8 on the swap. 205,333 is the total miles on the whole pickup frame. And so that's what it looks like. Right there, I reset that the day that I rolled it out for its first trial run. Those are the miles from trial run until today. I have now 25,823 miles. And I just finished a trip where I went here from Oklahoma City to Phoenix, Arizona, and back. When I got back, it was a total of 2,400 miles. And anybody who's been on I-40 understands how the grades are, like in Albuquerque, coming west out of Albuquerque. Everybody understands how crappy the roads are in New Mexico and not much better in Arizona. I also went south from Flagstaff, where there was a 6% downgrade. And in this truck, as you know, we have the switch. Let me show it to you. On the stick here, on the shifting stick, you see that it has the tow haul button out here. And most of you know that when you do the tow haul button, that it will do engine braking for you. And it took me a little while to get used to it because it would actually kick in a little bit too early on some of the downgrades, and my RPMs would go way up into the 3,000. And so I had to make sure to limit it, how much it would do. And I learned how to use the engine braking going into the Flagstaff, Arizona area. Now, I'm going to step out here and continue on with the story. But what I wanted to tell you about on this 2,400 mile trip is that I only had one repair that I had to do to the whole thing. Let me show you what it was. And it was my fault. You see that linkage that goes from the throttle up here to the pedal? So this is the pedal inside that connects right here, right? And then it transfers it down there to that linkage, that rod linkage right there. I had not screwed that in far enough, and I only probably had 2 or 3 threads holding that in there, and that lasted for 20-something thousand miles. When I say lasted for 20-something thousand miles, so it came loose on a 7% grade coming up out of Verde Green, I think is what it, Rio Verde, coming out of the valley before you drop off into Phoenix. And you're climbing the hill at 7% grade, and it popped off right there. And it's almost sunset, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I got to get this thing put together real quick. And I did get it put together, and it's been fine ever since. But I put it together and had to do a quick adjustment to make sure that the throttle position sensor and the actual throttle were matching up. And boom, everything took about 10-15 minutes and got it all squared away, and it's been fine ever since. But that's the only thing that happened entire ride. And this truck kept on chugging, kept on going, kept on pulling that big old RV all the way through. So it's time for me to thank some guys. I'm going to first of all start off, and I want to thank these 3 guys right here you see on the screen: Mike, Randy, and Larry. And their links are all going to be down in the description here. Mike Fuchs is the one that actually gave me one heck of a lot of advice on putting this thing together. I used his equipment, his adapters, for this entire truck. And you go back and take a look at all the putting together of this truck, and you'll see those are all Mike Fuchs stuff. And so I'm going to give a big thumb up to Mike. That's some rugged stuff, especially that flex plate. That flex plate that handled both up and down these big grades just fantastically. And I came on home and no problems. And Mike also gave me a lot of insight on how to put it together, make sure it was done right. And as you're a mechanic, you know that prep is everything. And so anytime that I would have something that I was having to do, he said, make sure and prep it this way and make sure torque it that way and all this kind of stuff. So Mike, you're my mechanical man. Next, I'm going to talk Randy Gillam. When I asked Randy what he could do for me as far as tuning it, some of the purchases I had to make were not in my budget, but I was fortunately able to find out, and he actually helped me find somebody online who was selling what I needed a little bit cheaper than what you could get it for new. And so I saved a little money doing that. But once I've put in the tuning equipment, Mike did exactly what he said he would do. He said, I'll make it run like it came off the showroom if you'll follow my directions. And, you know, I think one of the worst things you can do is to be a shade tree mechanic and think you know better. Listen to Randy. Do it as he says. Don't think you know better. Do it as he says. And this truck shifts smooth, uphill, downhill, with that big old load on it, by itself, it doesn't matter. And when you use the tow haul feature, it kicks in. You press on the brake. The key to it, if you want to know, is that when you start down a grade, you start at an RPM kind of where you want it to be. Push in the tow button, and then press your brake until it shifts down one. And when it shifts down one, slow yourself down very slowly to the speed you want to be, and then let that gear take it. Now, if you keep your foot on your brake much longer, it's going to try to grab another gear. That means it's going to rev it way up. So it might be more than you want. But the key is to get it into its first downshift and let it rise up to, you're not even touching your brake, let it rise up to the speed or RPM that you want, and then get on your brakes again, slow it down to the speed that you want. And if you stay in that range right there, it won't downshift again. It will just stay at the first downshift, and it'll hug that grade all the way down. Now, on the way out, you've got to be able to shift it manually down into the third gear. And I'm only talking about, we're talking about a 6 or 7% grade here, really steep, and we're pulling this RV up it. My temperature range is getting up there. I go down the road at 165 to 170 degrees on my radiator because I got the big 6.4. But when I'm pulling up these grades, it got up there 190, 195 degrees pulling. And so once you shift it down to that third and you start going up, it will downshift as far as you need. Watch that temperature gauge. And I had to pull about 3 miles at a 7-degree grade, going about 10 to 12 miles per hour coming out of Flagstaff. And guess what? Randy's transmission fix, tune, perfect. So, last guy I'm going to thank is I'm going to thank Larry Barnett. He supplied the low stall torque converter for me. And this low stall torque converter that he put on here, he said I make it match up right. And once I got that in there and this thing was coming off from the a dead stop perfectly, shifting at the shift points Randy designed it to, everything was smooth. I've never had a hot transmission. It made it all the way through, no problems. Everything 2,400 miles through the hell of Phoenix. Hot Phoenix. No problem. My 2008 F350. So I want to thank those guys. Randy, Mike, and Larry. You guys made it happen. And you guys who are subscribed to this channel, and you guys who have asked for help, I am more than happy to give it to you, but this is the testimony right here that I want you guys to remember. When these three guys tell you what to do, Don't try to be a shade tree mechanic. Do it the way they tell you to do it. You'll not have any trouble. This is my story. This is the truck. Now, I'm pretty proud of this truck. But the people that need to be the most proud are the three guys that I just mentioned. That's why I named it the Beast. Because it is a beast.